Well, the Fantastic Four First Steps is right around the corner, but there have been some screenings for the movie recently. And the first 30 minutes has been shown to fans at certain locations, so some plot details about the Fantastic Four First Steps have been getting out. And today it sounds like we might actually have a definitive report about where Doctor Doom comes from, meaning we might know which universe that he comes from. Now, if you are trying to avoid any and all spoilers for the Fantastic Four First Steps, this is your spoiler warning. We are diving into everything that we've heard. Starting with what the reported post-credit scene is for the Fantastic Four First Steps. You've probably heard it already. It's pretty brief, but you have to know it for what we're going to talk about in this video about Doom's origin. The reported post-credit scene for the Fantastic Four First Steps is Sue Storm reading to her son, Franklin Richards. She gets up, goes to get another book, and when she comes back, Doctor Doom is there. According to the reports, we don't see his face, but the camera does pan to his mask, which he is holding in his hand, and he is now sitting right next to Franklin Richards. And according to multiple plot leaks that we've heard so far from different sources, it does seem like Doctor Doom is going to take Franklin Richards. Now, the reason why is kind of a mystery right now. We've heard many different reports, some are conflicting, but based on what we know about the Fantastic Four First Steps, they are going to establish Franklin Richards, the son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, as an incredibly powerful being, as they should, because he is one of the most powerful characters in Marvel history. He's so strong that in the comics, they literally have to make him nerf himself. Otherwise, he would just be able to kind of do what he wants. And I'm assuming they're kind of going to do the same thing in the MCU, because he's going to be incredibly powerful. He's so strong already before he's even born that Galactus and the Silver Surfer want him. And Doom apparently too. So that's the post-credit, but here's the new scene that tells us a lot about Doom from the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is coming from the insider My Time to Shine Hello, and she reported about Doom's origin, stating, "There's a scene in the Fantastic Four First Steps where the major world leaders are together discussing the threat of Galactus, and there's an empty spot with a flag that says Latveria." And I didn't see this in the past, but according to multiple comments on Reddit, this has been reported a few times actually over the past few weeks, which does make sense because again, they did those test screenings for the Fantastic Four First Steps, so people were talking and people were posting online. And then apparently when the post-credit scene report came out, people were talking about this specific scene as well, the flag that says Latveria. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Doom's origin, that's where he comes from, Latveria. He's got a very long and complicated story, but we were hoping we'd dive into that a little bit in the Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, I wouldn't expect too much, I would just expect some hinting here, but considering that we have this scene in the movie that is seemingly establishing Doom as one of the world leaders, even though he's not there currently, the Latverian slot is empty, it still establishes him as a major character as far as a world-building storytelling point is concerned. Then they go into the post-credit scene and they show Doom with Sue. Now, originally, we had no idea if he was going to be from the Fantastic Four universe or if he is simply a Doctor Doom from a different universe going out and exploring the multiverse. Because that's what he essentially does in the comics. When he gets with Molecule Man, he goes to multiple different universes, thousands upon thousands of universes, killing Molecule Man, trying to save the entire multiverse from being destroyed because the Beyonders are going to activate the Molecule Men in each universe as bombs and destroy the multiverse. So he goes to just a ton of different universes. So we didn't know if this post-credit scene was him all of a sudden realizing that this Franklin Richards variant in this universe is incredibly powerful and he can use him to his advantage to try and maybe help save the multiverse. And there's actually a really cool report / rumor that we've heard that Doom wants him to help him with the Scarlet Witch, but we'll get to that in a bit. But with this scene, it doesn't seem like Doom is just traveling randomly to different universes trying to save the multiverse and stumbles across this variant of Sue Storm and Franklin Richards. And as I say that, I actually think about the variants that would exist in 838's universe where John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic died, but he did state that he had a wife and kids. You wonder what those variants are like. I wonder if they'll revisit that. But this scene does not seem random anymore. The post-credit scene where Doom shows up and apparently takes Franklin. And there is a report that might explain why exactly Doom goes after Franklin. We heard a report, of course, this is not confirmed. It's a rumor for now, so take it with a grain of salt. But we've heard a report that Sue Storm actually dies at the end of the film, but her son, Franklin, brings her back. We've talked about this a few times, and yes, I know it seems like the rise of the Silver Surfer's ending, but I'm convinced that Marvel Studios will do it well. At least I hope. But if this happens and Doom is in that world, then it makes perfect sense that the post-credit scene would be Doom going to get Franklin, because he would have witnessed the power of Franklin bringing his mother back to life. And the fact that he is absent from this massive world meeting concerning a giant space god that is going to come and obliterate their planet, killing everybody on it, means that he is up to something. And I would like to think that he would go directly to Reed Richards himself, because I hope they go fairly comic accurate when it comes to Victor Von Doom and Reed Richards in this universe. I hope he comes from Latveria, but he goes to college in America and he is roommates with Reed Richards. Their rivalry starts. I hope they give us the story of Mephisto and Doom's mother, how she dies and he takes her soul into his dimension. He tries to build a device to communicate with her. It explodes. That's how he gets his scars. He goes back to Latveria, eventually becomes the ruler of it. And down the line, I really do hope we get the storyline where him and Doctor Strange go into the Hell Dimension to try and defeat Mephisto to get his mother back. With Mephisto in the MCU now, I think it would be really cool, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But I really do hope they go down this path, giving us all of this history between Reed and Doom, especially moving forward in Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. After all, in Secret Wars, the comics, the ending battle is between Reed and Doom. And as they're fighting, their rivalry literally comes into play, and Doom is sitting there talking to Reed saying, just say it. If you had gotten this power, if you had become a god like me, you would have done it differently. You think you would have done it better. Egos are entirely out. Their history with each other is entirely there. That's what that final battle is about. And I'm really hoping we get something pretty similar in the MCU. And this scene gives me hope that Dr. Doom, Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom, the main villain of Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, does actually come from this Fantastic Four universe. With this scene and the post-credit scene, that does seem to be the case. And if that is the case, then we're on a good path here for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Now, like I mentioned, we did hear a report that Doom actually wants Franklin because he wants to use Franklin to revive the Scarlet Witch, but specifically, and obviously since he has to revive her, our Scarlet Witch from the 616 universe. Now, originally, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige hinted that the Scarlet Witch wasn't dead. And I would definitely argue a character as powerful as the Scarlet Witch probably could survive Wundagore Mountain falling on her. And we did see that red light as the mountain fell, and Kevin Feige even pointed out that red light. So originally, we thought that, yeah, she's alive. However, that was filmed before all the plans changed, before Dr. Doom was coming. So they could have very well changed the story of what they had planned for the Scarlet Witch, and now it's up to Doom to revive the Scarlet Witch, and perhaps if he does, she might view him as an ally, as a friend. Not knowing who Doom is or what he's up to, generally you would probably think it's a nice thing, getting revived. Or maybe not, I don't know. That's kind of a weird thing, but Doom is incredibly smart and he's cunning. And if he's the only one there when she's revived, him and Franklin, then the narrative is whatever he wants it to be. He can tell her anything he wants, and she basically has to either accept that or not. But when you're in that situation, if you're dead and brought back to life and the person who did so told you why he did it, you probably think, okay, that makes sense. Why would he revive me and lie to me? And after all, we have heard that Doom will indeed think that he is the hero, not the villain, and that he's trying to save the multiverse. So the Scarlet Witch might believe Doom when he says, I revived you because I need your help to save the multiverse. She kind of learned about incursions and Multiverse of Madness. She wasn't really there when it was all explained, but she's read the entire Darkhold. I'm sure there's stuff in there, and I'm sure it's not that hard to explain that, hey, when you did all your dream walking, you caused some incursions, and now the multiverse is screwed unless you help me. That's probably not a hard sell from Dr. Doom. And I kind of actually really hope this happens. I think it would be really cool, and I think they could dive into some really cool comic stories there with the Scarlet Witch and Doom, which we'll talk about in some other videos. But in the meantime, let me know your thoughts about this. It does look like Dr. Doom does indeed come from from the Fantastic Four's universe, which I think is great, because then we'll have that connection between Reed and Doom, and we'll have that going into the Avengers films. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel news. And you can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.